here from 1036. Today I am doing another requested video from one actually of my Alliance members this time, and it is a good time right now to do so, even though I have other topics that I wanted to do first, but the topic is going to align with what I need to do and for my keep right now. So let's see, there's not too much to talk about, but it just clarifies a few things because I understand that this feature might be a little difficult to understand, and I had difficulty as well. So it's all about soul binding. Let's get in there. I am currently binding one person, and what you're doing with this binding is you have a general that you haven't worked on whatsoever, and you want to use him. The easiest usage is if you want to have an assistant and you don't want to, or you don't have the, not want to, if you don't have the resources to work on him. Resources honestly really meaning the rune stones, because that is the biggest thing that you need to do for an assistant. So what do you do when you actually bind a general? Here I have one bound, and I can also go over an extension for you guys, but I'm gonna talk about it from the very beginning. So let's say I would want to bind, I'm not going to, but I would want to bind Militares because I wanted to use him. Then as the general to bind, you click on it and see if you have one available. The one available needs to be fully developed. So you click on it, needs to be fully ascended, needs to be fully spec'd out. So the development needs to be pretty much complete on this general. So if I select this, and then you click on bind, actually, can you look on here too? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of sort of the same thing, but with binding, you also see the number of essences you have available. So what it does is that this is what I would start out with: no specs done, and also no cultivation done. This is what binding does for you. It specs it out completely, which that is the best feature of it, because as we all know, the specialization is extremely expensive in rune stones, especially the third and fourth one. Then the other thing, it copies the amount of cultivation you've done with your main assistant, the one that you're using to bind to. In my case, it was Elise. Then you need to be aware as to how many you have, and then here you see after accumulating 10 bindings for this general will no longer consume binding essences. Evony, finish my sentence. Okay, that is what this is supposed to mean. It will no longer consume binding essences. So you have to remember to keep binding your general, unfortunately, after you've done it for 10 times, but it won't cost you anything. So, I mean, that's nice that it doesn't cost anything, but why, Evony? Why make us have to keep doing this? So it is a little unfortunate that that is the case, but here you can also read through it real quick. Let's see if we can skim. Only generals with the same tag can be bound. Same tag meaning ground with ground, mounted with mounted, archers with archers, wall with wall, and so on. Actually, I think, and siege and siege. I think these are the only 4 tags you can bind. Legendary historical generals cannot be bound. So the purple ones cannot. The initiator and the acceptor of the same binding cannot be selected for the same troop. the binding initiator must reach level 35, have all 4 original specialties at max level, and ascended to the highest star level. I already said that. But I did not know about the level 35, but here we have it. The binding initiator can only have one binding acceptor at the same time. If you want to bind the initiator with other generals, you must unbind the current binding. So this would be the case with if I wanted to bind another wall general. Let's I could have done it differently. Anyways, let's go in here. Let's say I wanted to bind a different wall general. Oh yeah, let's select Sappho. And I will not be able to select Dewey. The only other options I have right now are Leo and Queen Boudica. But as you see up here, Dewey is a valid option, but he is currently binding. Then let's just go back in here. Okay, after soul binding is interrupted, a portion of the material will be returned based on the remaining time of the current binding. So you can interrupt a bind, but I have not done it, and I don't know if I would recommend it. And there's another thing that I would recommend for binding. I'll go over that in just a bit. Each soul binding lasts for 15 days, starting from 3 days before the end of soul binding. You can renew it in advance. So total is 15 days, and you need to do it for 10 times for it to be permanently effective. If you can't, then you have, I don't know, we'll talk about that in a minute, sorry. So you can redo the binding 3 days before the soul binding is finishing. The renewal time will be added directly to the remaining time of the current soul binding. After renewal, you cannot unbind the soul binding before its original remaining time ends. So with a renewal, you cannot unbind the soul binding before the original. Let's see, actually in this one, I have 1 day and 15 hours left. If I were to renew it, which I'm probably going to do here in a minute, but let's say I renew it and I would want to unbind it, I cannot do that because I still have 1 day and 15 hours left. In 1 day and 16 hours, or 1 day, 15 hours and 1 minute, who cares? Greater than 1 day and 15 minutes, I will be able to unbind. And the unbinding is this little icon right here. A general can increase the number of bindings by 1 for each completed binding he accepts. After accumulating 10 bindings for the general will no longer consume material thereafter. Unbinding the soul binding ahead of time will not increase the number of bindings. What this means is, I think, like I said, you need to bind 10 times for you to get the most benefit of this binding feature, the soul binding feature, but you cannot accelerate it. That being said, let's say you bind one general and you want to accelerate the process, you unbind, then you go back in and renew after, or like before the 15 days are up at let's say day 12 or day 13, because you cannot do it before. That will not increase the number of bindings. Let's go back in here. No, actually right here. So this number will not increase. Let's say I unbind and then I bind again. The binding needs to complete the full 15 days. So there is no acceleration possible. Yeah, I hope that made sense. When a general who has been bound more than one time is dismissed, a portion of the material will be returned based on the current number of bindings. dismissed meaning put into fragments. So if I were to dismiss Isaac Brook, I would get some, nope, not this one. I would get some soul essence back. And then the last piece, the soul binding initiator's flexible specialty will not be shared with the acceptor. All right. Yeah, that's clear. Okay, so I wanted to renew it, and I guess I already went over it a little bit. You can renew your binding ahead of time so that you don't run out, especially if you know that you have Battlefield coming up, or you're in SVS and you see it's like, well, kind of is going to run out either right then, or I just don't want to miss it. I can renew it now, and then it'll just add on to what I have left here. So I'm going to do that now. I have enough soul essence, and here you can see that's what my original Isaac Brook looks like. Does not have any specialties done. It looks like I've done some cultivation. I actually didn't remember, but yeah, I've done some cultivation, and it is increased to this from my Dewey. And then the fifth specialty is something that I added after, so that is not something that will translate over from Dewey. A quick insert right here. Something I forgot to mention, and this is really quick. When you bind a general, another thing that is being copied to the new general, or to the general that you're binding, is another part of the first general that you're binding. So this is the new guy at level 1. I just got him, and let's say I want to bind him. The other thing that is binding is the level. So make sure your main general that you're binding to, even if you haven't worked on him in a while because you kind of benched him, make sure that their main level is up to date. And as you can see, the specialties does not have the fifth specialty. The specialization, the cultivation, and then the general level. So I'm going to renew it. It does cost 100 every single time, and I've done it 3 times already. So here you can see how many times you've bound somebody. And we will renew. So now it's 16 days and 15 hours. Yep, this is actually pretty straightforward to do. The only thing that I would keep in mind is if you wanted to bind, make sure that is my recommendation, make sure you have more than 1,000 essences. And that is going to be difficult to accumulate. I absolutely understand. But you want to make use of that benefit of binding somebody 10 times to get the full benefit of not needing any more resources after that. Because let's say you do it one time because you want to use that general, and then because you don't have enough, and then after 15 days your general goes back to its basic stats, and you really liked that general as your assistant, and now you don't have enough essences anymore, and you need to do the actual work. You need to level up the specialties, you need to cultivation, and if you want to use the general as your main general, you also need to do the ascension. So yeah, that's the other thing that we can talk about real quick. For Isaac, the stars do not translate over. Hopefully that was clear earlier, but if I wanted to use Isaac Brook as my main assistant, I can do that too. Like, all the good stuff is, not all the good stuff, but a lot of the good stuff has already been worked on by the binding, the specialties, and then, the cultivation. But then I need to awaken that general still with Blood of Ares, just in fragments, just like any other general, unfortunately. But it does take a lot of pressure off of you with the specialties. I think this is all that there's to say about soul binding. That you can renew it, when you should do it. Like you need to have enough essence available. The recommendation to wait until you have 1,000 essences. Yeah, hopefully that helped. Also, kind of cleared it up that what it does for you, the specialties and the cultivation. And ascension still needs to be done. So yeah, let me know if that helped, and I will keep producing videos. And if you have any requests, let me know. I will try and help you guys out. Like this video if you did, subscribe if you haven't, comment, ask questions, let me know, and I will see you guys next time.